since the ice has melted off most of the small lakes in this area in northern Wisconsin, we're gonna puddle jump to get further back in there. So we'll take the canoe, hop from lake to lake. It's short portages, but it's gorgeous back there. So we're gonna kind of finish up what we started last time on the fire making. Showed you the bow and drill, but we're gonna show you a little bit easier way to do it today. We're gonna go through the ferro rod and char cloth. Show you how to make char cloth, show you what a ferro rod is. We'll do a little brief overview on chert and steel as well. And that's chert's like flint, certain type of rock to where you can get sparks, sparks off of it, just similar as a ferro rod. And the key will be char cloth, because the char cloth will be able to take that spark really easily, very small one, and turn into a coal, and we'll get it blown into fire, kind of like how we did with the bow and drill. So let's go ahead and let's go get started. They're such pristine, beautiful lakes, extremely clear water. I've always wondered, what can you see down in there? You do not believe what I just found, what I seen down there. Curiosity. You wouldn't believe it. I don't believe it. Alright, just looking for a spot, hang up my pack. We're gonna set up camp on this south-facing shoreline. It'll keep us in the sun. It's a little chilly out today. Wind's coming out of the north, so this will block us. But looking for a spot to hang up my pack, and I figured I'd show you a must-have that you should keep in your pack, and it's a collapsible bow saw. And technically you can just carry the blades, and if you're real ambitious, you can heat up a branch and form it, and make it notch it so it's on both sides, so you're only carrying a blade. But I have the whole collapsible kit, and it's not bad to put together. It's pretty lightweight, and you can rip through some good sized logs with it. But show you, we'll put the blade down so that's sharp. Don't want to get cut. Comes in a few different pieces. So you see the notches on the bottom for the where the saw gets put in, and notch on this side, so it sits kind of staggered. So you should always be careful with any saw, any sharp object. Use them for tools. Handle the blade with care. You don't want to lop off any fingers. And then this will go in this end and slide up in the notch like this here. I'll flip it upside down so it stays in there. And then it's just got a wing nut here where you tighten it down and put all the tension on it. I'm gonna cut down a part of this branch here so I can hang my pack up. There's not anything real natural close by, so this branch is already dead. So it's not too bad to cut that off. So you got to tighten these pretty good because you don't want the blade to slip over. So that's the collapsible bow saw, and you can cut through some pretty thick stuff with this, and it's pretty darn fast. And you can even use two hands for something that's thicker, but I'm just going to cut off a little piece here. Like I said, screaming fast. That'll work out nice. And usually you don't want to set this down on the ground or anything. You want to, usually I hang it up, or when I attach it to my pack, over here I just have a little bit of wire that I attach it to one of the loops in my pack. So I'll just give that a couple twists. It's off the ground. So that way you're not stepping on it and the potential of cutting yourself up. So now, a nice spot to hang my pack. We got all set up, and a few things I did here since it's so windy. The wind's been swirling around the lake, the shores of the lake, but a lot of it's been coming this way. So I usually carry like a military surplus half shelter. So I'll set up that just to break some of the wind. And since we're going to be here for a while, the fire that we're going to make, I dug a hole out and found some stones and stoned it out, so you have the, reduce the risk of having a forest fire or whatnot. You always have to be careful with that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a fire started here with a ferro rod. And this is my weapon of choice when it comes to fire for the most part, other than my lighter. And we're going to do it with char cloth, which is going to be how we'll get our coal. And we'll do it the same way we did it last time with the bow and drill, but it won't be so much work getting that coal started. So ferro rod, always take it out with me. But this, once it takes one little spark, it will grow and grow and grow into a good sized ember, and it's in conjunction with a ferro rod, it's really easy to get a fire going. So that's one other way that I wanted to show you. Always to have, you know, something like this when you go out, in a small little waterproof container with some char cloth. And once we get this fire going, we're gonna burn the paint off of a small Sucrets tin. You can use any kind of tin, and we'll show you how to make char cloth. And then I'll show you a little bit about the chert and steel that I was talking about earlier. So let's go ahead and get a fire started so we can at least get the coals, because you need some hot coals to make char cloth. So I'll demonstrate how to use ferro rod, how easy it is to get a fire going with char cloth. I mean, this is pretty simple to get lit. So I always put, just for contrast so you can see, some birch bark down. And literally, I mean, most of this, and this dulls up your blade, you can use the back, but you can see this ferro rod as far as how many, I mean, that really slags out. So it's, all this needs is just a tiny little spark to start growing. And you'll see here. Well, there you go. So what I like to do is just kind of tuck it up on itself, but you can see that's all it took. There we go. And I mean, it burns for a good while. I'll get it down in here. Just like before. That was way easier than how we did it with the bow and drill, but you know, you could potentially lose that. And one thing to note too, when you're building a fire pit, especially if you're along the river, you don't want to take stones that have been in the water, because once you heat them up, they have a really good chance of exploding, and that's some serious shrapnel. So when you're looking for that kind of stones to make a fireplace, make sure it's kind of up above the water line, that they're not, you know, sitting in the water or have been, or, you know, pretty soaked, because they'll have quite a bit of moisture in there, and they can once they heat up hot enough, they can explode. Which I think we can all agree that'd be pretty bad. So what we're gonna do is use just a small tin. I'm gonna burn all the paint off, that way it won't stick so bad, but this is what we'll put our cotton or flannel in, and we'll poke a hole here in the front, but first I'm gonna burn all of this paint off. I'll just put it on the side of the fire, you don't have to put it right in the middle. We'll just grab a couple sticks to pull it back out and let it cool off, and then we'll show you the process of getting it ready for char cloth. All right, now most of this paint's burnt off. So we're gonna pull it out of the fire, and this is a classic 2-stick job. And we'll just let this cool off, and then we'll show you how to make some char cloth. Now, we're gonna make the hole for the tin, and so the idea is you wanna put, you know, where this tin will close, we'll just put kind of a hole at the very top, and again, use caution. Sharp knife, sharp tool. Actually, what we're going to probably have to do is use a stone here to punch through it. you just need a little hole for the gas to escape. Because what you're doing is when you'll close this down halfway, this little hole will let the gas escape, but it's burning the cloth without any flame. And then when we pull this out, we'll close over that hole, so as not to get any flames or to let it get any oxygen in there, because that's what we're doing is burning it without oxygen, without fire. So what I did was just took a cotton t-shirt and just tore it up, cut it up with my knife, strips, squares. We're just gonna pack it in here. This will all cool off. And then we made the hole at the very beginning here. So we'll slightly close this, the gas will get out here. And then when we take it out, we'll close it over the hole. But for now, we'll just take some of this and put this in here. So we'll keep that hole out. Fire's still going pretty good, so I'm going to move some of this out of the way here. Bring some of these coals off to the side here. Poker sticks, fighters, so I'll literally just drop that in there. Then we'll wait for it to heat up a little bit. I'm gonna grab another stick here. To kind of move it around. If it's getting too hot, you'll see. But if you see over on the side here, once it gets going, flames will actually shoot out of that little hole. And that's because the gas is coming out and it's getting ignited by the flame as it's coming out. So, anybody got any hot dogs? While we wait. So as this sits and cooks, a lot of that gas will come out and you'll start to see smoke rolling out of that hole. And once the smoke starts to taper off and stop rolling out of that hole, then it's pretty close to being done. Then you can take it out of the fire. Because you don't want to, if you cook it too hot and too long, it'll be really brittle and it won't work. If you don't cook it long enough, it'll be, hard to take a spark. It's kind of like, Goldilocks. It's got to be just right. So it's cooked for a while. No more smoke's rolling out of it, so we're going to pull it out here and let it cool off. Another classic 2-stick job. So pull that out, let it cool off here for a few minutes, and then we'll crack it open. See how we did. May 11th, out of nowhere, and it's snowing. It's gone off and on all day. You can take a look at the black shirt we got down there. That's cold snow. That's really coming down. So,
have you ever seen this before, James?
Actually, I can confidently say that I have not seen it snow like this in May, middle of May. No, it should be 70, 80 degrees, and it's whoop, 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 whoop. That's how you call a squatch. Pulled it out of the fire. It's cooled off now. Let's crack it open. See what we did. And looks like we did pretty good. That's what you want it to look like. If you burn it too long, it'll be a little bit brittle. But you can see this is still pretty pliable, but it's completely charred black. A good way you can tell is when you peel it apart. It peels apart real easy like that. And just to give a quick demonstration of it, we pull the ferrule rod out and right there. And that's hot. It's going up quick. And that's still burning, and it burns for a good while, so it's an awesome tinder alternative. But what I always bring with is just a waterproof, I think it's actually like a cell phone case, but waterproof case where I put, a little bit of tinder. I'm running low, so I always have a backup to the ferrule rod. That's just a small one that does pretty much the same thing, where you pull out a small striker, and it's got a real small striker on the side. But actually I don't want to do that, but you can see that. So it's always good to have some backup. But this waterproof one, so I always carry this with me, and whenever I go anywhere, it's got a little snap. I'll actually keep it on you because, if you do ever find yourself up that proverbial creek, it's all about not so much what you bring with you, it's what you got on you. And so I like to keep this on me at all times. So I'll take this char cloth we just made and we'll add it to the kit. And if you drop this or get wet or whatnot, it'll stay good and dry. It's got a seal all the way around it. So one other thing I'd like to show you a little bit about is just the chert and steel. And you can usually find chert in any kind of dried out creek bed. Uprooted stumps or trees that are up on the top of the hills. In our region anyways, I find a lot of different rocks that have been pulled up from it that are under the ground, along shorelines, pretty much anywhere. But one of the biggest indicators of chert is it has like a milky, almost waxy. It almost looks like it's been coated in a thin layer of wax, and it will break off in certain shards. It's fairly hard. This is a little bit of an odd piece. It has a little bit of that white on the back, but it comes in all different colors. Some will be more waxy than others. Some will just have pieces of it. And I mean, really, the only way you can really tell is to actually strike it. And I carry an old wood file, and it has to be pretty soft steel, because what's actually happening is when you're hitting the edge, it's actually hard enough to slag the steel that you're striking it against. And you want to usually have it on along a sharp edge like this. And this file I could probably cut in half and still use that and just keep that in my pack. But I use this for shaping wood too. Once in a while I carry it along with me. But just to give you a demonstration, this is a fairly sharp edge, and sometimes I'll either hold the tinder right above it, or depending on I'll put a stick between two trees and kind of have it that way, so it's almost like a bench, so you're right at the edge and you're striking it at the very edge of something. But you'll be able to, I'll just give you a demonstration. It's kind of bright out, so you might not be able to see it really well, but we'll get this to spark, and I don't know if you can. And you've seen that char cloth, that's all you need is one of those good slags to hit that, and you can get a fire going. So it's always good to have as many ways as you can possibly get to to start a fire. And I don't know if you could see that. We'll try it along the face. Sometimes you can get it just as good along the face. But it doesn't work. Doesn't work as well as if you hit it on a sharp side. You can see those sparks flying on there. So church steel is another option, especially if you have some char cloth that you take out with you. So any other way that you can make a fire, it's always good. So I think that's our conclusion, I guess, for fire making. There's tons of other ways to do it. I'll put some more online as I try them out. I haven't tried them all, but there's fire pistons. There's all kinds of ways. You can do it with batteries and steel wool. I think you can even do it with brake fluid. But I stick to with the 3-4 ways that I know. Actually, probably the last one I'll show you. You guys are gonna like this. It's a secret beyond scouting firecraft tactic, if you will. And it is the lighter. You can never go wrong with a lighter. It's uphill. It's a little bit harder. It's gonna be hilarious. Beyond scouting, the art of fine squatchery. Still snowing. Like I said earlier, squatch takeover there. They got to be shooting gamma rays or microwave, into the upper atmosphere, trying to change the weather patterns. So we're gonna check that out. And that is how they do it on Broadway.